What is good, y'all? My name is Carroll Brown, and this is the very first episode of Living Legends. I'm here with an amazing coach, Coach Battle. How's it feel?
Great, man. Great to be here. Appreciate you taking the time out your day to have me on your first episode of this.
No problem. And I chose you for a lot of good reasons. We talked before this for a long time. We look at your track record. Starting back from Cesar Chavez, looked at 10 and 11 winning seasons. Then you went in the bar. Had a very short but successful career, and now you're where you're at Carroll with the first 21 season. And I don't know how many years, but I know it's been 15?
It was first 21 season, I believe, since 1996.
That's some time.
So 30, even 29 or 30 years. It had been a while.
Starting out at Cesar Chavez, what was your mindset that got you into coaching?
So I initially started coaching at, I worked at it's considered level 5 special education school called the Foundation School in PG County. They take kids from all jurisdictions. And so it's a school for kids with emotional disabilities. And so I was the middle school coach there. You learn your patience because it's a facility that at any given time, kids can have moments, let's just say that. And we have things rooms called quiet rooms where kids are physically restrained, or they used to be physically restrained. And so anytime those behaviors can manifest, especially in heightened situations such as a basketball game. So you learn your patience, you learn how to use your voice for good and for bad to get points across, but it gave me some tools that I can use long term that I still use to this day.
So at what point in that journey did you realize that coaching was something I wanted to be a part of and take a step into it? Especially going to Cesar Chavez, what was the starting point and how you got introduced to it?
So when I got to Chavez, I initially was the middle school coach. And so first year we had middle school, we won a championship. And the kids were going to high school the next year, but they weren't going to be able to play varsity. The varsity team was bringing everybody back. And so we had middle school and we had varsity. And I was like, are we going to have a JV program? I was like, sure. It was like, I'd be more than willing to coach that. I would just move up with my kids, and that's how that happened. And then maybe a year later, the initial coach to start the program, Coach Singleton, stepped down. And the kids like, Coach Bob, would you be interested in taking over the varsity program? I wasn't really sure. I thought I was best situated and suited to be an assistant. And a really close friend of mine, actually two of them, Charles Harrison, who's no longer with us, my best friend, and another close personal friend of mine, Kurt Smith, was like, why not? Just, see how it goes. You built for the moment. And two great basketball minds telling you that you need to go ahead and do it. That kind of swayed me to like, you know what, let me try my hand at this. And then I had some phenomenal guys along the way during that time frame. Kind of gave me some more inspiration to do it. Kenny Johnson, who's now in Indiana, Keith Stevens, a couple of other people done this, but there was a phenomenal group of people at that point that were like, you're built for this moment. Like, what do you have to lose? And we had a great group of kids over there that just worked out perfectly.
And then a question that coming into this I wanted to ask, you talk about having patience, and especially with Cesar Chavez being the charter school, bar, I'm not familiar what kind of school that was.
DCPS.
The DCPS, and then Carroll being, like we said, HBCU and SEC. The success you had in getting those kind of kids to log in and and come together for a common good, when we know there will be other coaches, a lot more coaches that will struggle with doing something like that. What do you tell them? What's your recipe going into the season that you had such common, consistent success?
One, I think we just was fortunate or blessed that we always were able to get kids that kind of like people didn't identify as being the kid. We've had a handful of kids when I was at Chavez that had applied to Carroll, and they were told that they probably weren't good enough to play at WCAC. And they may not have been at that point in time. Like, this levels of high school basketball. And we were just fortunate enough for them to fall back into our lap. I think by the time they were getting ready to graduate from Chavez, they probably could have played, I I'm for certain they could have played the WCAC. But we just were fortunate over there. We had ample gym time, and those kids bought in. They bought into being coached hard. At that point in time, we stepped out the charter league, and we decided that we would play an independent schedule. And we had amazing administration, amazing coaches, and we said, okay, we're going to play a national schedule. And so my very first varsity basketball game as the head coach was against Oak Hill, who was number 3 in the country.
At what school?
Chavez. We drove to Oak Hill. So that our first year as the head coach, we played Oak Hill, played Malcom, played PBI, played Carroll.
Talk about getting thrown to the fire.
Riverdale, I'm missing some people. National Christian, who was really good at the time.
I know back then, that's when the Capital Beltway was the Premier League.
Exactly. A lot of our kids didn't play on travel teams, so we were like, okay, we gotta use our basketball season to kind of generate some college interest for these kids, because if this doesn't work, most of them are going to be back in their neighborhoods, and so I just didn't want that for them. We had kids that could play college basketball; it just needed to be seen by college coaches.
So, and then right before the interview, we talked about like the situations you've had in your upbringing, and just knowing that a lot of other kids that they might not have the best situations at home. I feel like you can relate to some of them in some situations. So coming into it, how do you be relatable to them and be more, not only as a coach, but as a mentor to knowing what some of them go through throughout their lives?
So I don't know if it's being relatable, just trying to being myself. Like, I'm gonna lean on you, I'm gonna coach you hard, but also having the ability to tell you I love you. Like, I love you, but that don't mean I can't put my foot in you, you know what? Because two things can be true. I can be hard on you and I can love you at the same time. I think sometimes adults get the two misconstrued. Kids are kids. Like, you guys are the same kids we were. I know a lot of adults say, these kids are different. Adults are different. Parenting is different. My coach here was not to be messed with, and my mom ain't have no problem with it. But nowadays, parents don't want you talking to the kid a certain way, and don't do this and don't do that. And I get it, but at the end of the day, like, when I push you out the building to go into a college program, you have to understand that gentleman that's coaching, he's taking care of his family. He pays his bills and everything. And so your production and your output kind of runs the day for him. And so you have to understand that before you get to him and try to preach that to our kids.
And then I see your time at Cesar Chavez. It said you had more than or well at 60 students play at the next level.
Yes.
So, especially at the guard position, you have a lot of success with whether it's D1, NAIA, putting them at the next level. How important, or how can I say it? What do you look for in the guards that you bring in? Because with the success that there has to be something to it. Or would you say, or a better question, a little more controversial, would you say it's just the area? Does DC have the best guards?
So I think we definitely have some talented guards. I think I've been fortunate enough to have had a good run of guards, starting from Chavez up until, of course, Anthony. I think we one of the things that we preach, because the assistant head coach, William Liggins, is also a Carroll. One of the things we preach is we're going to let you play, right? Like, I'm not going to stop you. Let's run this play. Like, I'm going to let you play, but you damn sure let me play hard. You better defend at a high level for me.
Back to the interview. Especially with small guards. Like, I think back in history, I know you know Lil Mike, Isaiah, and there's other guards, the ones I wasn't really. Oh, you coached what was his name?
The Thompson twins, Tyler and Tristan.
And then we have Darius. I know you had Darius. So the success you have with little guards, not only like you said, letting them play, but just defensively. Your teams were always in the game on defense. They were always on the same page, and it wasn't like willy-nilly. It was always calculated. It was good communication.
Try to be what people normally say public schools aren't. That, kind of like this frenetic. And I get it. Our style of play. For us, we pick up, we trap, and we flying around the gym, but we normally didn't have big, so we gotta do what was best for us. So we gotta create pace. The kids loved it. I think we were able to play routinely 10 to 12 kids, and so
That's rare.
yeah, that's rare, right?
Yeah.
And so imagine if you know when you run in the gym for warm-ups that at some point you're going to be on the floor. Your whole thought process of playing. I'm not just a kid that's on the team, sitting at the end of the bench. Like I know my number's going to get called. Like, and so we always preached that if you play 5 minutes and it felt like you played 3, then you didn't play no. If you played 5 minutes and it felt like 10, then you were flying around the gym and you probably come out the game like, okay, I had a hand in this win. And so the kids bought in, like they bought into probably gonna get a chance to play college basketball. We're gonna always play a tough schedule, whether it was at Bard or Chavez. And so it was just a complete buy-in. It was a perfect storm. And again, like my hat goes off to those kids being, they bought into always being in the gym. They bought into they weren't scared of anybody. Like we don't go anywhere and play anybody anytime. So I get a bunch of the credit for it, but it's got to be buy-in from kids and parents for it to work, and administrators. So again, perfect storm that we have all 3.
And then leaving out of that era, very successful era, and going in the bar. We talk about, it's funny you laugh, we talk about doing a lot with little or nothing.
So Bard, Eve Chavez, and we had when I left Chavez, we had a young man who actually coaches with us here at Carroll, Darren's dad was a dear friend of mine, Coach Wright, who does our strength and conditioning. He's like, hey, you're leaving Chavez, I'm going to transfer Darren to a school called Bard. So I do my homework. I was at new DCPS school. They don't have athletics. So I sent a blind email to the principal, like, hey, Malcom battle. I'd be interested in applying for your job whenever you guys start to have sports. If you're having sports, she responded in 24 hours. Dr. Anderson was like, hey, I would like to meet with you. We need an AD. We don't have sports this year, but we plan to have it next year. I go over and meet with her a week later, and she was like, yeah, I think I did my homework. I think this would be a great fit. And so I was working at an elementary school, that gap here between going into Bard full-time and having left Chavez. And it was amazing, but we had the pandemic.
Oh yeah,
We had the pandemic in the middle of the year, so we went from we building up to get ready for next year to we shut down. And then the following year we didn't go to school at all. So I started working at Bard full-time from the basement of my house.
Goodness gracious, in the basement?
From the basement of my house. We were on calls every day. And so we didn't have a logo. We didn't have uniforms. We didn't have anything.
What brand did y'all end up being?
We ended up wearing Nike.
Oh yeah, so it came out good.
Keith Stevens, once again, came to the rescue, and some other people. But we, the uniforms, everything was crafted in the middle of the pandemic. But it slowed down the building of where the school was going to be located, and all I got held up in the midst of COVID. So came back the following year and had no gym. Had no plan for what the gym would look like, we would practice at, so on and so forth. And it just wasn't basketball. Girls basketball had to go through it. We had volleyball had to go through it. And I mention them because oftentimes, because of our success, those teams got forgotten about in regards to they had to walk to different gyms just like us to go to practice. I recall vividly, school day would end. So initially the school was in Davis Elementary, which is off Benton Road. And school day would end, you come out of Davis and you go to your right. Fort Davis Rec Center is about a half a mile through the community. You go to your left, Woody Ward Rec Center is through the Benton Park area. but you got to walk through some tough places to get to those rec centers, right? And so you would see both teams walking to practice.
Yeah.
And you had to get there at 3 o'clock sharp because you had to be off the floor by 4:30 because they got programmed. So you in the middle of, let's say we game plan to play up, and I might be doing a walkthrough and your session got to stop. Got to hurry up and get off and get dressed because they got kids coming in and so on. It was a process, but again, kids born in, and first year was successful, and then the second year was just like a perfect storm. We finally moved into a new building, the old Malcom X on MLK, after Christmas break, and we were able to get a gym. And
what was the availability with that gym?
When we moved into the new school, it was at your, whenever you needed it. And so
that's good.
We were so excited, the kids were excited that we practiced in the morning. So again, that whole theory of these kids are different. We had total buy-in. We would have practice at 6:30 in the morning in the middle of Congress Heights. It's still dark outside, and everybody was in practice. And they got to it, and they would shower. They would get their breakfast and they would go to class. Just like we do here at Carroll. Like it was like complete buy-in. We just couldn't play any home games. And so, sometimes you get rolling at the right time. We went on a stretch the last 10 games, where we defended at a high level, shot the ball really well. Kids were communicating with each other better. And we were able to win DCIAA and DCSA championship.
Very good.
It was.
How many years was that?
So we lost in the DCAA championship the first year. We lost to Blue, and then the second year, having a basketball program, we won everything.
That's very good.
I got one question for you. So talk about that 2023 year, because I remember when y'all won that. What's some of the things you was telling your team, just through the through everything, everybody's saying they wasn't really that good after y'all beat Jackson Reed, because I remember that game. Nobody really believed that y'all was still going to win it. They just thought that was a fluke, because, everybody from Jackson Reed didn't play. That's what everybody in the city was saying.
Joe didn't play. I coached Joe would take over. Joe didn't play. They still, the crazy thing is, this morning, I was flipping through YouTube for something else, and the Jackson Reed game popped up. 6 o'clock in the morning. As a matter of fact, I got on my phone, I took a picture of it and sent it to one of our coaches, like, look what just popped up on the screen. But I told our kids when we got downstairs, after the Jackson Reed game, Joe didn't play. I was like, but in hindsight, at the time, I thought they had 4 Division I players.
They did, in which they did.
Without Joe.
Right.
Well, the young man that's now playing, that just won a Division II national championship, I thought was a Division I basketball player at the time. So I said, look, they going to talk about Joe not playing. They had 4 Division I players on the floor. Right. You still have to play the game. I was like, nobody's going to steal this moment from y'all. Like, the big bad boogeyman has been taken down.
Right. Y'all deserve it too.
Over there.
Right.
So we're walking out to get on the bus, and I'm the first one to get on the bus. I turn around, I told the cheerleaders and I told the players, like, you don't think you can beat Jackson Reed? Excuse my language, you're not getting on this fucking bus, man. If you don't think you can win this fucking game tonight, don't get on the fucking bus. Go the fuck back in the building. Go do something else. Only preference is getting on this bus with me. It's people that think they can beat Jackson Reed tonight.
And that's
somebody in the back of the line like, let's get the fuck on the bus then.
Okay.
Because the odds of that game was just like, it was like
we had lost them a couple of weeks before by 34.
Right. So it was just like.
So for me, Rob Dockery played for me. SE's Chavez. I didn't know we were going to win everything. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, I called this. I thought if we had a gym consistently, that we would be more competitive, right? Like, all right, we can go over a scout, like, we can go over their tendencies, like they like to run their offense this way. Let's take this away and see if they can get into their second, third option. But if I'm not gonna say it to you, I was like, hey, we're gonna roll through this. Nah, I thought personally that if we could get into a late fourth quarter game with them, kids that haven't been challenged tend to be on their heels when they don't expect to lose. Like, oh shit, now I'm being challenged like I never had. Like Jackson Reed again was the big bad boogeyman. Like if we could go back and see what the scores were of the teams they beat in our league back then, I'm sure it was probably double digits. So to be in a dogfight, and then again, and it crossed my mind this morning watching some of the film, the thought process. So it's normally packed in that section. There was nobody there. There was nobody from Jackson Reed there. They might have had, like, on the camera pan, it might have been 20 kids there.
Because they thought it was over.
They thought, yeah, right?
Before y'all even showed up.
And the announcer said, we're used to just playing the championship. Well, we travel well in Bard. At Bard, those kids would take over gyms, like.
Because it's all away games.
It was all away games, and they was going to every away game. Like, you were in actually doing the Jackson Reed games, like, it feels like it's an away game for Jackson Reed right now. Like, it's Bard people everywhere. And so, as the game got down to the end, we had a whole bunch of energy from the other side of the gym, whereas they had to play off each other. And I think at the end, that got us over the hump. They walked us down, and we turned the ball over, and they had a layup. And young brother named Stephen Lamar, sprinted back and blocked the layup. And the ball skirts off, we pick it up, we throw it ahead. So instead of them tying the game, we get the block, picks the ball up, throw it ahead, and we get, it's an and one layup, we go 5. Like, and so
all the momentum was gone.
But this was like 30-something seconds one game.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like the cherry on top.
If they make that layup, I believe we're done.
Yeah.
Because we had been up 7, and they were scrambling, they trapping, we just could not get it straight with regards to press break. But to tell you how all works, Stephen Lamar, at the beginning of that school year, we had a fall league game. He came in the morning and he didn't come in the afternoon. We called him. Can't get Steve on the phone. We don't know what's going on. Finally talked to Steve late that evening. He went back home, evidently, with his mom to eat breakfast after the first fall league game. Mom had a brain aneurysm and died.
And for him to come back and make that play.
He had a tough quarter. He had been at McNamara. Didn't work out. And Marty, when I called over there to get his waiver done, Marty's like, man, we praying for Steve. Like, he's a great kid. Just, sometimes it just doesn't work out socially, academically, so on and so forth. But he left there in good graces, and he just went through a tough spell. And from time to time, we had to stay at my house. But for him to make that play in that moment, I was like, it's meant to be.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what? At one point, you said that 2 things I wanted to ask you. You said that you didn't expect to win. You knew that if you had close games late, you were going to be more competitive. So at what point throughout the run did you think, like, we taking this? It's not a chance. Like, we got a shot. Was it like a practice? Was it one more with your team? Because some coaches have situations where they'll have a bad practice, or they might have a loss and then come back and never lose again. Was it a situation?
I'll tell you something. We for 2 to 3 weeks, man, was perfect. Like practice was crisp. It was all systems go. Like my biggest thing after we won DCIAA was the kids having a letdown. Like, oh, so we going to play in a single A, so we'll run through everybody in this league. We just beat Jackson Reed, and I'm like, because everybody's telling them, man, y'all gonna run through that. Y'all beat all these things, this gonna be nothing. And every single one of those games was a dog fight. We had scrimmaged the idea earlier that year. We had beat them by like 30 something. They gave us everything and then some down in GW. And actually, we had to hit a shot at the buzzer to win the game. So I mean, just kind of changing mind shifts and things of that nature, but it was why you get the coaching when it clicks for kids, and it clicked at the right time for them. It was a buy-in. Nobody was complaining about who started. He's taking more shots, and like, nah, people were making an extra shot, an extra pass. If I watched something this morning and it didn't dawn on me until I saw it this morning. There was a play down in GW where our point guard, Corey Harvey, made a bad read and threw the ball away. And atypically, younger guys will like, man, it's on me, that's me. And him and Steve going back and forth Steve was like, I should have stepped to the pass. And he's like, nah, I should have threw it. Like, damn, they was in unison at this point. They had all clicked. They never looked, when Idea was making their run and it looked like they potentially could win the game. Watching that, they never looked like they were nervous. Like there was no panic in the kids. It was a good run.
And then you talk about how good y'all are on the road. How important was the pregame and the warm-ups going into the game? Was there usually a walkthrough?
Yes, especially when we got our own gym. So that was the other thing. We couldn't do walkthroughs. So I'll use McKinley because we ended up beating them in the DCIAA championship. Mm-hmm. Earlier that year we played McKinley and they thrashed us. We didn't practice the day before the game. Mm-hmm. We got to the rec center and they were like, oh, it's some kind of programming, so the gym is not available. Mm-hmm. So we basically just winged it. Yeah. We played McKinley. And they kicked our ass. But I was like, you know what? We're not that bad. We're not even close to that bad. Partly, our kids had never been in that environment. Like, came out the pandemic and was playing varsity basketball. And partly just not being able to prepare. And like, I don't care what level of high school basketball, you gotta have some preparation. So I just kept saying if we get a gym, I'm not saying we're gonna win everything, but we're gonna be damn more competitive than what we are. And we were already competitive because we had basketball players. We just had to put, like, this is what they do, and this is the tendencies, and this is where we won't get our shot from. And when this, we will put 2 minutes on the clock, and it's tied up, and it's 2 timeouts, and it's 1-1. All right, let's go. Your ball, so we call it war room basketball. We execute. So when those moments happen in game-like situations, we'll be prepared for them.
It's almost as if, like, with all the odds that are stacked against us, you have to use it as fuel throughout the year.
Try to. I mean, you win the Carroll, it's the same way. Like,
exactly.
Right? We don't have all the bells and whistles here. We didn't have Met Bard. We didn't have Met Chavez. It's been different variables at each school, but nonetheless, they're quote unquote lack certain things. So I try to find kids with like, all right, we don't have this, but I still run through your chest to get this win. Like, because at the end of the day, I mean, you can have all the best facilities in the world and still not win a game.
Mm-hmm. That is true. So coming out of that and going into where you're at now, Carroll, I know that was something that was a long time coming you wanted to do. How did that opportunity present itself?
So initially I did not want to be the coach at Carroll. Did not want to be the coach at Carroll. I actually was given the job in 2018 and I turned it down. And I wrestled with taking it this time at Bard. But it became much easier this time because of some things that were going on at Bard. But nonetheless, I thought that my purpose was better served in one, with kids that are in communities that are disadvantaged, right? So I felt like Carroll is going to be fine. They'll do a national search, they'll get a great coach like Powell, and it'll be business as usual, as opposed to when you pull black men out of schools like Chavez and Bar, where there's already a lack of them. And you start them off 5 to 6 to 7 coaches, all black men leaving the program. That kind of takes a lot of energy out of the building. And so for me, I wrestle with leaving those kids in those communities. I grew up in Southeast, and so I just didn't want to diminish or deplete those schools. But without going into detail, Bard left me with no choice. And then I was like, you know what, the kid's home. Once again, talked to my family in depth. I leaned on a lot of my really dear friends about what they thought, and decided that it's time to come back home. And I challenged myself like that. This is supposed to be the best conference in America. Let's go see. And it is the best conference in America. I find that out day in and day out, but I'm glad I came back. I'm glad, the advice I was given by people, it kind of led me to this point. It has its days with any place, but this school is amazing. It's phenomenal. I'm glad to be an alum. I'm glad to be back. I was just out yesterday, and I saw 2 alum. 92 and 90. And they both were ecstatic about the basketball program. And I hadn't seen either one of them in years. And when I mean years, I'm talking about decades. And they were like, it was like we were back in high school, but they were like, man, I'm so excited. And then I leave, and I go somewhere else for a meeting, and I see a number from class 87. And he's like, man, he just lost his dad. And I'm like, man, my condolences. He's like, man, yeah, I appreciate it, but man, hell of a season. Like, I'm excited for, like, it's time. And you can speak to this, you're the I want us to be proud about something, right? That's not oftentimes the case here. But, we're gonna keep building. I just think it's a phenomenal place, with phenomenal staff and phenomenal kids. I think it sometimes gets a bad reputation because of some of the aggressive guys that went in back in the 80s. Like I hear Carroll, people say it's a public-private school. And I'm like, yeah, I worked at public school, brother. This is far from it. Like,
What did I say? What did I tell you?
Yeah, he said that.
yeah, like, so when I went here, it was roughly about 800 boys, when it was all boys. So yeah, it could be a rough spot. It could be a rough spot back there for sure. Listen, what you hear?
Nothing.
And I want y'all to make sure y'all put that on. You hear nothing, right?
You don't hear nobody in the hallway.
You're going to have your days, like with any school where it's situations, all schools have them, but when you say...
This is in the middle of the day also, this is during school.
Yeah, it's
That didn't mean nothing.
11 o'clock.
Let's go Dunbar right now. That don't mean nothing. You don't hear nobody in the hallway. You don't hear nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? But I worked at some schools where you're gonna hear something right now. You might hear some tables moving, everything. Like, no disrespect to Bob, but I remember being at Bob and we had like 12 fights in a school day. In a school day.
Yeah, that's great.
Right? So this is not that. Yeah, do we have our days? Absolutely. Because, you're still dealing with kids.
Every school does.
Yeah, every school does. But the public-private school piece comes from when I was a student here. Yeah, it's misplaced information. This place isn't that place. Again, 800 boys, you're going to have some issues. You got 400 kids here, man. And it's half and half. And so it's not that. But, you know, if that's the stigma people want to put on it, I would say come visit the school. Come visit it. And, you know, whether we want to talk about the elephant in the room, I think it's also a racial element to it. It's an all-black school, right? So it's an easy sell. It's wild in here. It's out of control. I'm sure if we peel back the layers of a lot of schools, we will find out there's some wild stuff going on. Again, I'm protective of my school. You know, it's made me who I am. I could have easily gone in a different direction, but I went to school with some phenomenal people. You know, we may need to do a better job of promoting people that have come through here. I mean, you got Troy Weaver, who's the general manager for the Pelicans. You got the president of Howard Law School, Roger Fairfax. You got Michael Steele, who's the deputy governor. We're here. You have, of course, John Thompson. I mean, I could go down the list.
People don't know about Aminu Muhammad. He was a dog.
Because he didn't graduate. You got Roger who didn't graduate, but it was 3 years here. Like Chris Joseph that played with the Celtics. Lawrence Moulton, my classmate, teammate, who just passed away early this school year, who was the Big East all-time leading scorer. You got Evans Charles, who was probably one of the biggest hoteliers in the country. You got the president of Industrial Bank, which is one of the biggest African-American owned banks. Doyle Mitchell, who was like class of 82 or 81, I believe. Like, we go down a list of how many influential people have come through this building. And again, maybe we need to do a better job as a school of promoting, but it's been a phenomenal, for me, coming from Southeast, to kind of be in a space with people like that. I mean, I believe our potential next mayor, Kenny McDuffie, classmate of mine here. I think he left, when I graduated, he left and transferred to, which is now Jackson Reed. But like I can go down there. Beyonce's first big hit, Crazy in Love, is produced by Rich Harrison, graduated with him.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like,
That's crazy.
It's been, so the group of kids I came into the building with in '86, and the freshmen of my senior year, so that would have been class of '93, those kids, those young men and women that I went to school with, phenomenal classes of Carroll students that went on to do outstanding things. It's a special place. I hold it dear in my heart, and I make sure the kids know, like, I know it's been some rough years, but let's pull out some yearbooks. I want you to know what this used to look like and what it can be like. Like, yeah, I know these places have bigger programs and more glitz and glamour, but you can compete here still. And so I think, especially in the basketball and track and football, they've started to turn the corner and realize, like, yeah, we can compete with anybody.
Yes, sir. And then coming into the season, with the success that you had in prior years, what did you take from that coming in here, trying to change the culture here?
So I thought that Coach Powell had done a phenomenal job. I thought COVID kind of impacted y'all heavily.
It did.
And it just, you know, probably just was hard to recover from that. But I thought that 19 and 15 team you guys had, it was right there. So we kind of wanted to piggyback on that, but with our spin on it, which was, you know, a lot of teams in the league don't press. When you get up in your chest, just kind of pick you up at half court, you run your stuff, I pick you up at half court, run our stuff, so on and so forth. Like, nah, we're going to pick you up 94 feet. We're going to play 10 kids, we're going to be up in your, you know what, and we're going to get out to people. And, again, you know, ended up being a perfect storm our first year. We couldn't close a couple of games out, which would have got us over that 21 hump. But, you know, we went 18 and 15, and then we graduated a ton of kids, and we were fortunate enough to get in. And
Can you speak on that, bringing him in? I know him coming from PBI, probably definitely a situation that was
so,
unlike that.
yeah, he, I know he was trying to figure out what his next stop was. I guess things hadn't worked out at PVI. We had just lost a really high-level guard and a kid named Hassan Dorman. And so we need to replace 24 points rather. And like, hey man, look, it's a small school, but the one thing that you're probably gonna have to mentally get over is when you get 2 feet in the paint, you pitch out, you ain't pitching out to Darren Harris or another 4 or 5 star. Like, it's a kid that you're gonna be kicking the ball to that's still trying to figure it out. And I'm gonna need you not to kill his spirit when he doesn't make a shot, but pour into him, man. It takes some time, but eventually he bought into what being a leader looks like. Had his days, but phenomenal talent. And I feel like he brought life back into the building, but I also feel like the building and the school brought life back into him as a basketball player.
And then watching Anthony play, a lot of, like you said, a lot of the reasons I like to watch plays is energy. I feel like a run can be started by him necessarily. Of course he scores, but also he'll score and pick up in the same place he shot the layup from.
Yeah.
He'll dive for a loose ball and not be afraid to get the play where the ref got to break it up. Just having somebody like that who will go out there and just do whatever they got to do to get the win. How easy is it to get everybody else to run behind them?
It's not hard at all. I mean, so I'm gonna use the kid he's in the backcourt with, Bambo. That's already his DNA. So he played that way before he picked up 94 feet. He probably plays with more energy than Ant may, right? But when you're in that huddle, he's challenging other guys that may not have the energy that those two have about picking their energy up. And you've seen the game. He set a gym off, and now student section is going crazy, and it's just lightning in the bottle. But phenomenal guy in terms of like generating others to kind of move at a certain level or play at a certain level, so to speak.
And then a lot of big games y'all won. I don't know if I'm pretty sure this year. Oak Ridge
was this year.
Oak Ridge, I know, especially in the conference play, the kind of conference we in, we'll play the number 16, 18 team. Y'all managed to, one thing Carroll has had trouble doing was just getting consistent ones. And y'all managed to get some good ones throughout the year. What did you tell your kids going to those games?
One, we just tried to be prepared, but 2, we took some tough losses in the middle of the season, and I think it was more so about we had to trust each other. Can't beat really good teams in this league, 1-on-5, 2-on-5. Like, gotta trust each other. Because I feel like there was a blueprint, or a believed blueprint that you could kind of double hand, and he would try to beat you on his own. And once we got over that hump, it was guys that take the map to drag us around his gym. About 30-something. And we came back and we were able to get them over at their place. We split with O'Connell. We didn't split with them Gonzaga. They beat us twice. I thought, it was just buy-in. And again, I don't think, it's a love fest every day between the kids. That's, the team is a long year.
Yeah.
But at the right time, just like at bar, it's a buy-in, still kind of gnaws at me, but I really, for the kids and for the school community, if we could have closed out the St. John's game, it would have been just phenomenal for everybody that has ever worn a jersey here, because that's normally not our place. Like, we haven't played in the championship since 1997. So could have pulled that off, that would have been even better. But we just big on getting after people. And again, everybody has the same mentality. Like, everybody plays hard, but we want to get after people. I get it right. Like, in this league, everybody's friends, and kids have played PYBL, and they play AU ball together. But look, I need you to understand, man, your homie in your way right now. Like, y'all can be friends and hit the like button for each other next week. But right now, here, enemy, he's in the way. And I need you to understand that. So kids start figuring that out. Like, it ain't personal, but I need you to cut the friendship piece off for a couple minutes. Like, there's guys in the leagues I coach against, like, she only like, and some I love, but for the 2 hours we're playing the game, you in my way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The biggest thing for me is Carroll and my kids. I disregard for whatever else is going on.
Very good answer. And also, you talk about earlier, you made the reference to Amp saying he getting the lane, passing it. It's not like he's passing to a Daniel Harrison or passing to a Turk or anybody like that. So once again, that to be able to have those wins, because a lot of people don't understand, like Carroll, like out of conference doesn't really lose, and that just shows how good
our conference is.
Yeah, like even back then, we beat. I'm pretty sure Civil Friends the year they were 29-1.
Yes,
we were the only loss.
Yeah. So I know vividly that you guys were ranked in like the top 5 at the time.
For majority of the year, up until my brother got hurt. And then yeah, my dad
fell out. And so it's not like it's been just consistently awful the last 20, 30 years. Like, there have been moments with Chris Joseph and Guru team, that team you guys had, and a couple of other teams. Like, so this whole premise of we just been down on our luck for 30 years is the same. That hasn't been it. But we want to kind of expand or build on what you guys had rolling. And again, pandemic and then the roughly after that.
Pandemic really kicked it.
Yeah.
Kind of set it back to like a starting point. If you had to look back on your career as a coach, I know you were saying as a player, you kind of started out more in the coaching of basketball. What would you want to be remembered by? What do you feel like, especially with being somebody with ties to DC as strong as prominent as you are as a native? What do you want people to know you guys?
So here's the thing. I genuinely, because you can't make everybody happy, right? So I just really don't have a concern about how someone might feel about it. But one thing I try to be big on is you can feel how you want to feel, especially because as a coach, you're going to have to tell an adult or a kid you're not as good as you think you are, or you're not going to play as much as you want to play. It's just a reality. But I'm never going to lie to you and be straight with you. You can receive it how you want, but I'm not going to BS you. I just be known for being straightforward. That I help somebody. I won't go into names, but I've had kids that play for me at other schools, and here at Carroll that transferred out, and I don't have a problem calling the school. Like, if there's a better option for you, if there's something at another spot that I can't offer you here, then let me help you. Like that's the nature of high school athletics, college athletics. Like, I'm not going to be in my feelings about it. Like, can't believe he left me, X, Y, and Z. So it would just, I would want people to know that I would want a lasting legacy of being straightforward and honest with people, and that I'm part of a circle of coaches that will run through a wall to give not only my own kids but kids at other institutions the opportunity to play college basketball.
Sir, very good answer. That was a good answer. I forgot my next question. But to finalize this, I want to talk about recruiting now. I mean, we had a joke about that earlier. How have things changed? Because once again, you're still able to be successful. So to be able to adapt with how the game was back then to how it is now, especially with recruiting, how would you feel like things have changed?
So I've had to make an adjustment, and it hasn't always been the best because at Bard and Chavez, I'm recruiting a different type of kid. As opposed to being here. So you're supposed to be going after, the high level middle school kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. But oftentimes, not all, but some, I've been asked about NIL money.
That's the game, man.
Hey, Carroll is crazy.
I've been asked about how does my kid get NIL. I've been asked about having full tuition paid for a kid that hasn't stepped in the building yet. Now, I get trying to help get tuition assistance. I mean, if I was an incoming student now, my mom can get, because present day, I probably wouldn't be a Carroll kid. My mom probably couldn't, when I was a kid, afford $19,000 a year. Yeah, and we're the cheapest school in the conference. But to have the gall to say, hey, I can't pay anything, and I want to play at Carroll, and what's going on with NIL money is insane to me. Like, how about you make the varsity team first? And again, that's probably going to rub people the wrong way. Some people, it might be somebody that's watching this going to say, oh, he's talking about me. Perhaps, but I mean, I just, I get it, right? You have a really, really good 8th grader, and they've been recruited by a bunch of schools, and they may be able to give free tuition somewhere else. We don't have that autonomy here to say, yeah, you can get your tuition paid, and you can get your tuition paid. It's just now we absolutely don't have no NIL money, and couldn't direct you to no NIL money. So we're getting some NIL money, I'm giving it to Hank, I'm giving it to Bam, you know what I'm saying? I'm giving it to Brighton Bird, Truth Kelly. I mean, I got some kids in the pecking order before I start saying, let me give some money to an incoming kid who hasn't gotten a rebound, a floor burn, to be charged for me, anything. So, that's a little different to me. And I'm not really a call you every day, text you every day type of guy. And I get it, right? If we're fighting for the same kids in this league, and you're oftentimes being called by somebody else, they're probably doing, if that's what you like, they're probably doing a better job of recruiting. It's not a strong suit of mine. That probably has to change. I'm gonna have some longevity in this league. But, being the AD here, being a basketball coach, being a parent, having a maid, having a family, like everything in its due time, and I just can't see myself sitting on the phone all night, calling and texting 8th graders over and over and over to say the same thing. Like, come to Carroll, if you do X, Y, Z, you're gonna play. The message isn't gonna change in a month. The message isn't gonna change in a week. Like, I'm gonna tell you what it is, straightforward. Hey, we recruiting these 3 kids, they play your position. First one to the finish line and want to do it is going to get it. And then, kids either figure it out or they don't. So, in that regard, we've done well. We've gotten some really, really good 9th graders that have turned into phenomenal varsity athletes. Bam is on track to be a 4-year starter. Truth Kelly is on track to be a 4-year starter. Chima Marty, Donovan Ford, and Myron Glyman, and Dakota Wise. I mean, I can go down a list of kids that have been here, that have bought in, and then you pepper them in with kids that are like, hey, I'm looking for a different option. We have the I-20 program, kids that call from overseas all the time, like, hey, I was reading up on Carroll and I want to be a Carroll line from Africa or Canada. I'm like, you can always use a 6'11", sure. And they get coached hard and it's a total buy-in. And so for me, if we get one of the better 8th graders, cool. But I'm not going to beat my head against the wall about not getting it. Like those that buy in and figure it out have done well. And then those that don't, oftentimes double back and be like, hey, I went here and didn't work and I transferred here. It's all a crapshoot, man. But yeah, the NIL for 8th grader conversations are insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, let me get a question then. Speaking of NIL, what's stopping you from college? I know you've gotten a college offer by now in your whole career of coaching. So what's really stopping you from that next level?
That was actually my next question.
Gotcha. So,
Good question, bro.
I, for years, have been no college. Nah, it almost goes back to the initial conversation about why I wouldn't take the Carroll job. I just thought I was better served with that, in that community with those young men and young women. And so, fast forward, I'm in this space, and this is about as close to college athletics as you can get without being in college. But I have a ton of friends that are college coaches. And in this landscape of transfer portal and NIL, I'm good. I'm good. If this is a problem, I can only imagine. I mean, my conversations with them, I'm like, man, how do y'all do it? And you get a rub of the head, or you get the wrinkles in the forehead, like, hey, bro, I don't know how long I can keep doing this. This is crazy. Like, I got to re-recruit my whole entire college team. It's insane to me. I wouldn't know what to do if I had to, right now today, say, you know what? I got to go get 12 new kids for Carroll next year.
Every year, too.
Yeah, and team is doing that every year.
Yeah, and then I got to do it next year. Like, nah, I'm just, you know. And I'm at Eastern Shore alone. And if there was any way to ever coach college basketball, it would be Eastern Shore. Because I just think it has phenomenal facilities. It's in the perfect location in regards to being an hour and a half away from Philly, an hour and a half away from DC Baltimore, an hour and a half away from the Tide. But I can't deal with all the other stuff. I'm 53 years old. My patience is really limited. If I can't talk NIL with a ninth grade, eighth grade, I can only imagine what them brothers dealing with. when they talking about writing big checks for them kids. Yeah. And to lose, I would probably go crazy. If I was giving a college team $2 million, $3 million, 80,000 here, 200,000 here, and to be in the bottom of the league, man, y'all would probably see me on ESPN or something for like throwing a chair across the floor, Bobby Knight style or something. Like I can't.
That's funny.
Nah. So that's yeah. I'm good right here. Like this gonna go ahead and take me out the pasture right here. I'll finish up here and then I'll go be somebody's assistant coach or something. But unless there's some rules coming down the pipe for changing some of the landscape of college basketball, go recruit a whole new team every year. It's insane.
And if they don't like the certain price, let's just call it what it is, certain price that you offering, consider it done.
You got. I don't like playing in the G League, so I want to go back to college. Like, I come on, man. Like, I feel bad for high school kids now. I feel bad for high school kids. I hope parents and family members and handlers and all that are watching all this. Like, guys better start taking advantage of playing D3 and D2 and NAIA. I know we're getting off subject, but it's amazing to me how many people don't even know, one, what NAIA basketball is, and two, that you can play the level of the play there, and three, that you can go there for free, full scholarship to an NAIA school. And I think it's part of being in this region. It's the Division I or bust, which is insane to me. Like, guys are going. The kid we talked about at Jackson Reed, I believe is going to play Division I basketball now. He's going to lead at D2 because he's in the portal. He's going to play Division I basketball. They just won a natty. There we go. And so, families better get in tune with going through that progression as opposed to, I'm not getting it coming out of high school. It's a wash. It's a bust. I'm done. Nah. Better take advantage of any opportunity you can to play college basketball.
And to conclude it, you talk a lot about Braden Berry, the other players that stepped up. What are some of the players that you felt like grew throughout the year? Because like you said, when you bring in somebody that's a high caliber player, it's gonna teach your guys to grow up fast, especially when you have a schedule like how you did that accommodates the kind of player that you have.
I would start with Bam Bolden because
Bam Bolden, my bad.
Yeah.
I don't know who else did.
No, you got Bam, you got Brighton. You were right. So you start with Bam, who every year has had to kind of like, he comes in as a freshman with low profile, ends up starting for us, and he's playing beside Hassan, who's the leading scorer in the league, and then we get Anthony, and right, wrong, and different. People make it more so about Anthony, and so you forget that there's a kid in the backcourt one way he had to. He doesn't say it, but kind of can see like there's no spotlight on him. It's all on Anthony. And so for him to do his job, which allows Anthony to do his job, I always want to make sure I give him his flowers. But then in terms of like got better as the year went on, man, Brighton Bird, who hadn't played a lot at Mount St. Joe's his first 3 years, who had to come in our league, he had to come on the team and not only be a starter, but be a major contributor. We had Chima Amadi, a 10th grader who we got no minutes as a freshman. And probably was being pulled in different directions in terms of, hey, you over there, you ain't playing, you need to transfer. And would start at times like, man, when I tell you, by the end of the year, made big shot after big shot after big shot for us. You got Truth Kelly, another 10th grader, who he's gotten better every year from 9th to 10th, and is only getting better. We had a young man transferring from Newport News, who's from the Sudan, Matiak Dean, thrust into playing in the best league in America, and he got better every week. He's away from home, hasn't played this level of high school basketball, got hurt, had to get healthy and figure his way back into the rotation, and he ended up impacting game after game just on the defensive end and with his energy offensively, and he's not a ball dominant guy. And I know I'm missing some people. But those kids innately stand out to me because of the complexities of whether it's sharing the spotlight with Matt, or not getting any spotlight at all, or having a new role, or having to step up in big moments where you didn't play at all from one year to the other. For those kids to kind of have to figure it all out in this competitive nature, room, space. It's not enough time to talk about the flowers that I should be giving those kids. But again, it goes back to buy-in, because there's some hard days ahead. But when the lights come on, they figure it out. And that's why I wish we could have closed out that St. John's game. That would have been just would have been huge for those kids.
Well, Coach Battle, I more than appreciate you coming.
No problem.
It was
Dad, you home here? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This won't be the last time I'll be back.
Sure, you better than that. Bring your brother with you, come get your jerseys and all that stuff, man.
Yes, sir. This is Living Legends, episode 1. We out.